All right. Welcome back into the podcast. And I am super excited for this one. Super excited. I got my guy, Giovanni Moceri. I said it right? Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Yes, I got it. I got it. But Giovanni's back, and we're back. It's a Super Bowl preview, our second Super Bowl preview. That's crazy to say, Giovanni.
It was a long time ago. Cause we're here at WXOU. We didn't have the setup like this. We were just kind of crammed into the other room last time.
Yeah, we were crammed in the other room. We were scraping together audio to try to figure it out. And look at us now, man. Like you're running a very successful show. Tell me how the show's been doing. Like I've been listening here and there, and I love the show. It's a great show. We advertise each other's shows time and time again. But tell me how the show's been going.
Show's been going great. We moved to Mondays at noon now just because of the classes this semester. But having, I got it kind of established now in terms of the setup and, a routine for it. And it's just every week is, little notes here and there for myself to get better. And it's just been a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome.
Started live streaming on YouTube, too. So
that's cool.
Fun.
That's cool. That's something I need to get better at is the YouTube aspect. And that's what I've been trying to do, with some video podcasts and stuff like that here and there. And, the video aspect is probably one of the harder parts.
Dude, you got no idea. I mean, those listening, if you don't have a podcast, it is a lot more work than you would imagine when it comes to the video, especially the social media aspect of it, making thumbnails and all the work that goes into promoting it. It makes you appreciate all the people that do it for other networks.
100%. All right, let's get into some football. Okay, you got the Detroit Lions on your shirt. They were awesome this year. Flat out awesome. It was a great season. Talk to me about your opinion of the Lions, how the season went. Talk to me about everything. It was a rough ending, which we'll get to, but talk to me about your thoughts on the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a rough ending when it doesn't end in a Super Bowl, especially when you get yourself into the stratosphere of those teams that are able to make it, the championship game level teams. And I mean, it's always going to be sour. But for me as a fan, I kind of positioned myself before the championship game for, maybe it doesn't happen. Beating the 1 seed in their house for the first time you ever been. Sometimes it happens, but it doesn't take away from the fact that, one, we got there. Getting to the NFC Championship game, even when the playoffs started, after the Rams win, extra credit from there.
Yeah.
The goals have been reached, the boxes have been checked. So for me, I'm just kind of enjoying the fresh air, if you will. Mm-hmm. But it's early on. It's year 3, and there's still a lot of pieces left to be improved. I can't believe we dragged that defense all the way to the championship game.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of okay, now we have that experience. We know what it tastes like. So next year we're going to be able to really gear ourselves and target that NFC championship game again, because we know what it's like. We know what it smells like there.
100%. I mean, with the Lions this year, we just got to be so thankful that this year happened, because we haven't had this winning in forever, and the city was on fire. The city was awesome.
The city was going to burn down one way or another if we got to the Super Bowl.
Exactly, 100%. And, I mean, you can look at that last game, have a bitter taste in your mouth, all that stuff. It was a rough way to lose a game.
Yeah,
100%.
I've kind of isolated the thought of the action in the game itself, because it's we got there, but we didn't make it. If I dive too deep into the details of how the game went, then I'm really going to get upset. So, there's got to be times where you reel it in, and you got to manage yourself as a fan.
Exactly.
In terms of where your emotions are positioned and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So I don't think about the game itself too much.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, overall, you look at it, and it was a great season. And guess what? We're keeping both of our coordinators, which is something that it's huge. I know, exactly. I had that exact reaction. It's something that Lions fans just didn't expect. I think everybody expected Ben Johnson to leave, Aaron Glenn to leave, stuff like that. They were big time coaching names, and they're still here. So we got to be thankful for that, right?
Definitely. I mean, and people have criticism about how Ben Johnson went about refusing the offer of the Commanders. I say stay mad, haters. we still keep our top coordinator. And the entire season, it was basically we got to do, part of the pressure of getting to the playoffs and all that stuff was this is all we have left of Ben Johnson, so we got to take advantage of it until now. Now it's it completely turned around my reaction and emotion to the offseason, because instead of dwelling on the game of the NFC Championship game itself, we're back now. Let's reboot, get the game back together. Let's go. and it's a totally different attitude towards the offseason.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, it's big time news. Big time news.
Big time.
Because Ben Johnson was probably the star candidate for a long time, other than Jim Harbaugh, of course. But like, he was probably the star candidate for everybody. And the fact that that Commander's job didn't work out, which I think everybody assumed it was probably going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, there was
crazy.
There was really no sign that it was not going to happen. But when you look at it, and it's, you know, you hate to read the guy's personality and stuff. We don't know nothing about him, but you know, not everybody wants to be a head coach. You know,
it's true.
Like, I mean, it's a lot of things in sports. It's like, why do they have to be this? Why does every coordinator have to be a head coach? It doesn't always happen, and this might be the rare exception where it's just like he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much money you give him.
I mean, there's a lot of speculation throughout the whole thing. Like, I heard reports that he didn't like the basketball minds that were attached to the coaching search in the Commanders, which was led by Bob Myers, who's former Golden State guy, and Magic Johnson's an owner there. So, I mean, partly that. I also heard Ben Johnson ask for a ridiculous price, like $15 million, which is,
and it could have just been simply like, okay, like I really don't want to, so here's a number you're not going to reach.
That's true.
It could just
That's
have
true.
been like
100%.
Get off my ass kind of thing.
100%. And with Ben Johnson not leaving, it's a great thing because the offense was so dominant throughout the whole year, and they had a system. Everybody's going to be feeling really good about that offense. Now it's about how can we get this defense to actually guard someone, because we were 28th in the NFL in our secondary, and it's like, okay, we got all these guys, Cam Sutton, you know, Gardner Johnson. We lost somebody at the beginning of the year that hurt its ACL like right away. I can't remember.
It was Emmanuel Mosley.
Mosley,
came back from one ACL and then the other one goes.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really unfortunate.
So I mean, just to me, it's like, how can we make this secondary to where at least we're 15th? You know,
right. I mean,
because that's a step that we need, because I don't see any team, like when I evaluate football, I don't see any team where you're that bad at something and you make the Super Bowl. It just doesn't happen. You have to be at least average.
Right.
You know?
I mean, you can't be dragging dead weight across the finish line in a race that's so long, to keep the metaphor for the Super Bowl. But yeah, you have to, every piece has to stand on its own, even, you know, a little bit. Like it has to be decent at least for like any unit that you got on the team.
100%. So looking at next year, okay, what are your expectations for this team? Do you think they're back to that NFC Championship, maybe even a Super Bowl appearance, or what are some of your expectations for how we look this year going into next year?
I mean, I hate to put the bar right back to where we finished, but you kind of do have to get back to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, I mean, most of the crew is going to stay the same.
True.
And looking at that, I mean, the weaknesses are obvious. Like we mentioned, like we were talking about the Lions' secondary defense. So it's a matter of like, okay, here's the list of how to get back. Keep the offense, check. Fix the secondary, and, you know, just essentially keep the same momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the expectations is going to be back to the NFC Championship game. And then from there, it might be another roll of the dice. It might be, I mean, it could turn into what San Francisco has been, which is always getting to the championship game and then kind of rolling the dice as to continuing from there. But deep playoff run has to happen now.
For sure, 100%. And it's crazy because this is the first year that the Lions are going to have those expectations.
Oh, yeah.
I think as Lions fans, we both thought that we'd win the NFC North and make the playoffs. Nobody expected this NFC Championship game, but now this is where the expectations are going to come in.
Yeah.
And it's a big year for Campbell. It's a big year for Ben Johnson. It's a big year for Jared Goff. It's a big year for all those guys to solidify yourself in that spot. And, you know, I try to cover the game without bias.
Right.
It's just the truth. Like
I
have my buddy Aaron Smith on for NFL, and we were predicting, and he's like, Lions all the way. See, I can't do that because I have to look at it in spurts and like unbiasedly.
Yeah, and you gotta zoom out. You can't be looking at Honolulu blue tinted glasses.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly, 100%. So when I was looking at that Lions 49ers matchup, it's just like, on paper, there's no way the Lions win. And then they went off to start the game and made everybody look like idiots.
I know that's what really
crazy.
Hurt.
Yeah, and that's what really hurt. And we don't have to talk about the game in depth, so bring those emotions in. But you know, it just makes you think like this Lions team can take the next step and it can get there. So
Definitely.
I'm just super excited for it. Dude.
Me too, man. This
Super
offseason is going to be fun.
All right, so before we get in the Super Bowl, we just talked about Lions for 10 minutes, by the way, which is awesome. I love it.
Can't help it.
It's so much better to talk about them this way than we did last year.
Oh, man, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
which is awesome. Awesome for sure. But we did just end Aaron Rodgers' Green Bay last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you like that. You like that. But give me some opinions on just the rest of the NFL, just some off-season stuff that's happened or anything that just stood out to you about this year besides the Super Bowl, which we'll get into.
So I want to focus on the coaching carousel real quick because it was a lot. I mean, Ben Johnson obviously being in the mix of it kind of kept my eye a little bit closer to it than normal. But the fact that, I mean, we knew the Bill Belichick not being the head coach of the Patriots, we kind of knew that was going to happen, as unbelievable as it sounded. But what was at first unbelievable, but then understandable, was the fact that he's still not a head coach. That he's going to be at home for this season, which was like, how could you do that to somebody with a resume like that? But you dig a little bit more into the details. If you get Belichick on your coaching staff, everything's got to go. Yeah. You got to clean the shelves, and you have to make it his way. That's a really big undertaking for any team to do, especially like, hey, I mean, we're a decent team. We just need a better coach. It's like, oh, we got to do away with the whole team now to get like, it's too much to give up. Yeah. So that one was particularly interesting to me. And what was more so was Mike Vrabel also probably going to be at home for this season. He's an incredible coach. He's a great coach. Think it was just a simple matter of the roster that was in Tennessee, and it's like, you're going to get rid of that guy? And the way the way the news around it makes it sound is just some petty reasons about like, oh, like I didn't like him at the red jacket ceremony at the Patriots. Like, that's not like, if you're got a new quarterback in Will Levis and you're like sort of like on, starting to improve, you can't get rid of a guy who's basically built it to that point. Yeah. Especially he's not old either. Yeah, for sure. He ain't that old.
For sure. And he was widely considered one of the best coaches in the NFL.
I thought it would be like 5 minutes and he's on a new team.
Exactly. But the thing is, with this coaching carousel, that was so weird. It's like everybody's just looking for that young gun. Like the Mike McDonald was such a name. Yeah. Because of what he did with that Ravens defense, what he did with Michigan's defense. He turned Michigan's defense around in college football. And then looking at some other names, it was like all young guys. Raheem Morris, who had an opportunity. I think it wasn't it? Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, was it? Yeah, he had an opportunity in Tampa Bay, and it didn't work out. But, I mean, Raheem Morris, another young name. That's just very talented. All these young guys trying to get those opportunities. And Vrabel, you think, would, like, take the cake and be the best candidate. But with these teams, like, they were just looking for a younger guy, someone different, and someone that's not taking control of front office. Right. Whereas Bill Belichick and Vrabel's gotten to that point where he's such a good coach that maybe he wants to take on that challenge, and nobody was ready for that.
Right. And it's a lot of an undertaking. You want more, and it kind of goes with, I guess just a lot of people in sports, like the fantasization, as many syllables as that might be, like where you want to plug and play. You want someone to fit in with what you got with as minimal change as possible, and then improve it in that focused way. That's not how all these candidates are built. So
exactly.
They don't fit the puzzle.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, well, we're gonna take a little break, and then when we get back from the break, we'll start talking about the Super Bowl, which is hopefully what you guys tuned in for. But we'll be back in a sec.
Hello. This is Giovanni Moceri. You might have heard me a couple times on Jake's Takes. I am the sports media director of Oakland University's campus radio station, WXOU, and I've been the host for about 2 years of a weekly sports show called The Jomo Show, where we cover all of Oakland University athletics, including a weekly update on scores and highlights, as well as interviews with athletes or those otherwise involved in athletics. You can listen to The Jomo Show live on WXOU Thursdays at 6, or you can tune in to me afterwards on Spotify. It's The Jomo Show.
All right, welcome back into the show, and let's get right to it, okay? The Super Bowl is here, and I think we're both ready for it. Both of us wish the Lions were there.
Absolutely.
But, we gave the Lions their time. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. So, Chiefs 49ers. I do have to say this before we start. when I did my last podcast with Aaron,
Yeah.
we did it before the second round.
Mm-hmm.
I picked all those games right.
Are you serious?
Yeah, all those games, which is insane.
Even last Super Bowl, you picked pretty close.
Yeah, I know. Well, that one, I just picked the Chiefs right, pretty much. But this year, I also did pick the Jets to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. So, like, it doesn't really count too much. But, you know, still, I just got to throw that out there on my podcast. Brag a little bit. You know, I just got to get the bragging in a little bit. But, okay, let's talk about the game. So, 49ers are favored by 2.5 in this one. And both teams looked really good. I mean, 49ers in the second half against the Lions.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City just came out with an unbelievable game plan against Baltimore. And like, their defense just dominated. So talk to me a little bit about what you've seen from both these teams in the playoffs and just throughout the regular season.
I'm seeing a Mahomes that is literally dragging the worst receiving core that I've ever seen on that team, dragging them all the way to a Super Bowl. And it's getting into the atmosphere, into almost into the stratosphere of like, it doesn't, like, I never believed it at first. A lot of people were saying it, but like, it doesn't matter what's around Mahomes. He will get it done. I never subscribed to that until this season, to where it's like, wow, this team blows, but they're also in the Super Bowl now. So for the matchup itself, it's like you can get to all the football and the X's and O's, and the 49ers eat like super stacked roster all around, but they have Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I think I'm ashamed that I had to subscribe to that, but because it's lame podcasting for me. Like, I don't say much on my show, but like that's genuinely the case. And all you need is Mahomes and Kelsey, and the defense is good enough to where the rest of the offense is whatever.
Yeah.
All you really need is Kelsey and a little bit of Pacheco, and that could be enough.
For sure. And that's something we talked about last year when we were doing Chiefs-Eagles. You picked the Eagles.
I did.
And
I don't regret it either.
I completely respect that pick, you know. The Eagles are the better team. In this scenario, the 49ers are the better team. Okay? They are
really similar.
They are. It's very similar. And you know, that's why, like, I'll just say my pick now. Like, on the original podcast I did, I picked the 49ers because I just didn't think this Chiefs team was good enough. They didn't look great in that first round.
No.
They really didn't. So, like, I just wasn't sure if I believed in them enough to get past the Bills and the Ravens because I trust Mahomes more than I trust Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. It's just how really
QB, absolutely.
Exactly. It's just how quarterbacks. So I rank quarterbacks based off playoff success, taking care of the ball, and stats. Okay, that's how I rank quarterbacks. And the only two quarterbacks currently that I trust in a playoff scenario to win me a game no matter what is Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. That's it. And a lot of people are off the Joe Burrow bandwagon because he's injured and blah, blah, blah. His team's not there.
Yeah, it's
all that stuff.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. But, you know, I just wasn't there with Lamar and Josh Allen yet. Josh Allen really impressed me with the way he played against Patrick Mahomes in that second round. I thought he played great. Lamar is Lamar, okay? I gave him a lot of credit for the MVP season. I gave him a lot of credit for getting to the AFC Championship. If you haven't been listening, I'm not the biggest Lamar guy. I'm just not. And it's nothing against him. I just didn't like how the trade stuff went last year. I didn't like his opinion on that. And, you know, I think he's a fantastic football player, and it was hard to figure that out. But
it becomes a very twisted web.
Exactly. And he just hasn't, like, in that game, that AFC Championship game, he just didn't step up to the way that you would expect, like, an all-star quarterback to, you know, step up.
I mean, like, the way Baltimore should have won that game.
Exactly.
The play calling and just the way the game was managed was not. It wasn't helpful to him. I mean, to me, so I saw that AFC Championship game as Lamar being forced to do something he's not the best at, which is, I mean, to be a traditional drop back and throw quarterback. That's not what he's good at. What he's good at is this unique ability to run and be everywhere and be dangerous at all times. Then the Baltimore didn't run the game to take advantage of that.
Exactly.
And Zay Flowers didn't help either. And rookie receiver becoming a rookie in the worst time.
Yep.
So I mean, I took it as like the Ravens lost, but Lamar I thought he was good enough to win it.
Fair enough. And I mean, that just brings me to the point that the Chiefs, they looked great. Like those first two drives in that game, they went off the top of my head. I think they went 30 plays and went down the field both times. Took up a whole quarter of offense and scored 2 touchdowns, and that's all they needed.
Yeah,
they needed a field goal,
yeah.
and then that's it. They didn't score in the second half.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's kind of an old school mentality. I mean, like right away when you mentioned that, I go back to the 2000 Steelers, and I remember the offensive game plan was, or like Ray Lewis was going to the coach saying like, "Give me 10 points."
Yep.
That's and you know, a little bit of point inflation for nowadays in football. Give me 14, give me 17 points, and this defense will lock it down.
And that's where this defense comes into play because the secondary is so talented.
It is.
Like the way that they were guarding those receivers, because Lamar had time. But there was nothing they could do because the Chiefs would leave 2 guys in the middle and spy Lamar. So Lamar's not running anywhere. So then Lamar's left to figure out who's open, like who can get open. And nobody could, because that secondary is just unbelievable. McDuffie, Snead, Willie Gay, just all guys that are just unbelievable. And that Chiefs defense, I mean, I said it before to you last year. I believe that defense carried them more to the championship than that offense. It's the same thing this year.
It is, and it's most of those guys. I mean, we're all 3 of the guys you mentioned in last year's Super Bowl.
Yep.
They're as young as they are. They literally have won a Super Bowl already.
Yep.
So them being too young before wasn't a problem, and now having that experience plus 1 year, that is a really quick way to become basically a veteran in the NFL in 2 years.
100%.
For all 2 or 3 years for all those young guys on the defense. So you have the agility and like the youthful strength with a veteran's mindset. That's very dangerous to have that spread out across that Chiefs defense.
100%. 100%. And that just makes the Chiefs so tough to, bet against because they have the defense and they have the most trustworthy quarterback in the NFL.
Most trustworthy duo in the NFL.
Exactly.
A little bit less so this season, but I mean, like you look at the championship game. What Kelsey had like 11 catches.
Yeah, he had 9 catches in the first half,
which
is incrable.
Like they've done it so often, man. Like
so often,
they're used
so
to it.
often. It's crazy. It's crazy. Let's talk about the other side a little bit. Okay, the Chiefs. We kind of zeroed in more defensive focus. They got a great offense. We didn't mention Pacheco, which we'll get to in a little bit. But let's just talk about 49ers in general.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how the 49ers have been so far this year?
So right away, the headline of the 49ers is usually the quarterback, Brock Purdy.
Yep.
And how it's like 2 sides of the coin. You either hate his guts because you don't think he's talented enough to get to where he is right now, or you're on the other side and you say like, well, he's just a really good quarterback. I'm on the side of, like most things, it's a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
He has the best roster in the league. Why does he also have to be the best quarterback in the league?
Fair.
That's not how the team is built. And like we mentioned, kind of like the plug and play nature of the coaches earlier in this podcast, Brock Purdy fits perfect into what is a great team. That's okay. He doesn't have to do all this extra stuff because all you have to do is score and win. So I don't subscribe to that. Like, oh, he stinks. He's good and he does what he has to do. So we'll put that out of the way. There have been moments where he's looked like a second-year, 7th-round quarterback. He does happen to be human at times. But with the rest of that 49ers, specifically in the offense here, did they have like the most like all pros or Pro Bowls or stuff?
Yeah.
Or something like that? Or
in the past.
Yeah, they just litter those all-star type of positions in the league. And listen, it's a team sport. You got 11 guys on the field. If half of them are like Pro Bowls or all pros, that's going to be a really good setup. And they can do it. The offense can really cook any way that you want them to. You want to run it with McCaffrey like 30 times? He's going to do that. You want him to score 2 touchdowns? I think it's literally minus money for him to score 2 touchdowns. So, and then you could throw it to Kittle, and Ayuk has really become like a star receiver.
Yes, that's true.
And then you got the Swiss Army knife of Debo. Like it's a completely stacked roster, and when you look at it, they are favored in the game for a reason. That's just on the offensive side. The defensive side has stars as well. Kind of the same deal as the offense. A little bit less so, especially in certain games. You don't hear a whole lot from Chase Young and Nick Bosa as a combination, but if there's any game that they're gonna at least like have some impact and wake up a little bit, it's gonna be the Super Bowl.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, talking about the 49ers just a little bit, like, I love what you're saying about that offense. The offense just has so many weapons, and Kyle Shanahan is a mastermind.
Yeah, and you got the maestro at the hands with the
100%.
best instruments.
Exactly. Exactly. I love the way you put things. I mean, a play-by-play is, oh, it's great. It's great. It's awesome. Yeah, check out Giovanni on play-by-play. He's awesome. He's awesome, man.
Sports, baby.
But you know, like talking about that offense, you got so many weapons. They use motion like so beautifully with Debo and Christian McCaffrey, two of the most versatile players in the NFL. And then Brandon Ayuk coming on, really great. And then George Kittle, fantastic blocker and a great pass catcher if needed. You know,
Dude, like Kittle like eats people when he's blocking them. He eats their face.
He's easily the best blocking tight end. Like there's no debate. I mean, Laporta's close. Laporta's close.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely. Yeah.
But I mean, like Laporta is the next Kittle to me. Like Kittle has been that guy, and they haven't really needed him to be a receiver. So he's just been a fantastic blocker and incredible. So that offense, I'm not really too worried about them. The Chiefs defense can give them some trouble because especially with that O-line, it's a little older now. It's not as good as people may think. And at the beginning of these games at the playoffs, that offense has struggled to get going. You saw the Green Bay game. They really struggled to get going, made some good second half adjustments. Same thing with the Detroit game, really struggled. And like when Brock's pressured, you'll see a bad throw. He threw a bad throw against the Lions for that interception.
Yeah.
And that was the only drive he looked bad because he looked incredible in the second half.
Definitely. And you think about that, and it's like, wait, Kyle Shanahan is good at making halftime adjustments. It doesn't blow it like in the fourth quarter. That's not like he's starting to change the narrative on himself.
Exactly.
Especially.
Yes, I mean, that's a good point.
Both in Green Bay and against Green Bay and against Detroit. The whole stat was like, oh, in these conditions, fourth quarter, down by 5+, he has never won it.
That's a great point.
He lost 30 games in a row in that situation, and then he did it against Green Bay. And so he's starting, like, it's not the same Kyle Shanahan of bury him and he will not come back. He'll come back.
For sure. And then moving to the defense, Steve Wilkes has done a great job with this defense because you look at all the stars and you can kind of get blindsided by the star factor. Their linebackers are unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Like the linebacking core, I think, is my favorite part and the best part, which is Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. Unbelievable. But if Dre Greenlaw does get a pick, he's trying to score no matter what.
Yeah.
That Green Bay game was so funny.
Come on, man.
But, with that defense, like the secondary hasn't been great this year. They've dealt with some injuries. Charvarius Ward's okay, and they're solid on that front, but it hasn't been great for what you'd expect. And then you have so many names on this defensive line, but other than Bosa, they really haven't been that good.
Yeah, it's been a lot of names, and for an average to above average output. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the Lions and their chance to make it back. Is all you need is for those like lower end units on your team to be about average.
Yep.
I would say
and they're
that's
about
what
average. 100%.
That's what the 49ers have done. And even if the names start to live up to that shine, I mean, like there's the ceiling of that. So you can, there's always that possibility that this could be that absolute, murderer's row of defenders.
Yes.
It could show up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I mean, that kind of leads into it. Like, will the Chiefs just be able to dominate them on front like the Lions started with? Because the Lions started out with a run script. They were running all over them.
That's right. It was like 7 yards a carry.
Yeah, David Montgomery, Jamison Williams on the edge. The Chiefs are really good at that. Like, the Chiefs script against the Ravens, they threw 2 screens to their 2 best wideouts, Kelsey and Rashee Rice, and then 5 straight run plays to Pacheco. So the Chiefs are fine with doing that. Like Pacheco could have a monster game in this scenario.
Definitely. Yeah, they're not going to the Chiefs aren't going to lock themselves into the identity that they used to have.
Yes.
Because they're far away from that now. So, I mean, they're going to just slam Pacheco up the middle. But what I'm thinking about for that kind of matchup and that aspect of it, with the receiving core of the Chiefs being so shallow and weak, then the 49ers, who are a little bit weak on defending the pass, also like it kind of evens out. So maybe you could focus a little bit more personnel up the middle and then kind of take your chances with the receivers.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's a great point, which I think will happen because the Chiefs don't have a deep threat. Like there's no Tyreek Hill on this team.
Nope.
The person you're trusting is Marquise Valdez-Scantling, who made a great catch at the end of the Ravens game. But other than that, we don't see him have 2 catches very often.
No.
You know, and we've seen him. I mean, Kadarius Toney is the name for dropping passes throughout this year, but we've seen Valdez-Scantling have his share. You know, which has been a struggle. So like, you need guys like him and Sky Moore to do that if you're willing to go man on the edges. But the thing that made the Ravens such a tough matchup, and a lot of people didn't talk about it before the game, is the Ravens are a predominantly zone defense. Patrick Mahomes eats zone for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he loves zone defense. Man, you can get away with some stuff with Mahomes, but he's still going to eat you alive.
Yeah, especially
Mahomes,
with Kelsey, doing whatever he wants.
Exactly.
And it's already immediately read by Mahomes. He knows what's going on. So Kelsey will see like, oh, there's a soft spot.
Yep.
No words. Look,
Exactly.
I'm going to be in that spot that I know that you see as well. So that's absolutely going to eat
true.
zone for breakfast. Yeah.
So true. I feel like that's kind of the deep stuff. Is there anything you're noticing throughout the game? We kind of dove into a lot of different aspects. Is there anything that you want to like look out for during the game?
I think, Chris Jones being the leader of that Chiefs defense,
I like that,
him kind of breaking out last year's Super Bowl run. Like, I think that like he never had a sack in the playoffs, or there was some stat between him and I think George Karlaftis as well. But they both showed up and said, "Oh, let me get 2 sacks on Joe Burrow last year in the Super Bowl." I would watch for him during some of those big plays because I mean, him being the biggest player on the best unit on the Chiefs. He's a wild dude.
Yes.
So I would definitely watch out for him swatting passes from Purdy when he might be getting some pressure and starting to be disrupted. Then I would watch for a Chris Jones, big play.
Do you see high scoring or low scoring?
Low scoring.
Low scoring.
I think that this game might be played a lot within the numbers, and it's a lot of like, vertical up and down, right up the middle kind of game. It's going to be old school and it might be boring.
Yeah. The thing that's weird about this game is like, for me, it can go either way. It really can, because like the Chiefs can attack some things. Like if they get Pacheco going, I don't know how that 49ers defense stops them, because we're talking about the man thing. And yes, I feel like that could work for 2 or 3 drives, but then they're just going to adjust and figure it out. Like Kelsey can get open in the middle. If you're manning Kelsey with Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner, I still think Kelsey wins that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Greenlaw is an unbelievable pass defender, but if you're doing man with that, like, I don't think that's enough.
Because neither of you know where you're going.
Exactly. So, and Mahomes is smart enough to figure it out for sure. But if that run game's going, I feel like the Chiefs are scoring a lot. And then on the other side, McCaffrey running against that Chiefs defense is going to be a story, because the Chiefs were really good at getting the Ravens uncomfortable and getting him out of it. Shanahan's not going to get uncomfortable by that. He's going to run McCaffrey. McCaffrey's going to get at least 16 carries in this game, and he's going to be a factor. And if McCaffrey's not working, you got so many options to use Debo and the screen action, to use Ayuk over the top, There's a lot of different ways you can attack that defense. And yes, the secondary played an incredible game. But I also think Purdy might even be more composed than Lamar when his first read's not there.
Because it's whack-a-mole. If you cover one guy, then you got like literally like 3 other guys that are just as talented and might be open and definitely within the lineup of reads that Birdie's gonna have.
100%. All right, predictions. Let's get to them.
I got. All right. So to keep consistent with the Joe Mo show, as much praise as I gave the Chiefs, I think this is where the 49ers break through. I think this is where this is going to be the result of the huge arms race of talent in the NFC. I think this is the time where they cash in, and I think this will put Mahomes 2-4 in the Super Bowl, which boo-hoo.
Well, let's see. Would it be 2-4? No, I don't think so, because lost to the Bucks.
Right.
And then beat the Eagles, beat the 49ers. He's 2-1. Right,
2-1. Oh, excuse me. 1-2 out of 4 trips.
1-2 out of 4 trips.
1-2 out of 4
no,
trips.
Fair enough. I completely I made that prediction, but that was before I watched them these past 2 games, and So, like, because it's the fact that I didn't make a preseason pick and I was just doing postseason picks because my picks were so bad. Although I did have the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I'm going to give some credit there, but I think everybody did. So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So for this game, I really feel like I trust Mahomes, man. Like, I can't go against Mahomes.
It's not wrong either.
Exactly. It's not wrong, man. And the thing is, too, is like this defense is unbelievable, you know? And I talked about this a lot with Aaron when we were picking Lions 49ers because we did think it was going to be a really good game and a really close game. And Aaron told me something that I found compelling, even though I still picked the 49ers, was Purdy last drive. Do you trust him? And that's a really tough decision.
That's a good way to put it. It is, but it's for me, like, if you don't trust him, hand it off.
Yeah. But, like, it's hard to run in those situations. Like, if you're down 7, there's a minute to go. You got to get the ball down the field, you know? Like, or if you're down 3, minute to go, you still got to get the ball down the field, you know? And especially against this secondary, it's like, I just don't know if I trust Purdy to make the plays in that situation. And it's nothing against Purdy. Like, I wouldn't trust Lamar. Josh Allen's getting close for me. Like, I like the way he's been playing. And,
but you're talking about the guy who's been to 4 Super Bowls already compared to, like, you can't, like.
Yeah.
It's just what the differential is going to be. It's every human.
It makes it so tough. And we've just never seen Purdy in that scenario before, which is part of it. But Purdy's looked so composed when stuff has gone against him, which is something I give him a lot of credit for. And, you know, I'm just excited for this game, man. I'm super pumped. Like, I think this is going to be a really good Super Bowl. I think we were super excited for Chiefs-Eagles. I'd probably rank Chiefs-Eagles, like, hype-wise, just a little ahead of this one.
I would say so, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people wanted to see, like, the Lions or the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Right.
I think that was America's pick both ways.
Yeah, Lions and or Ravens.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but we got the 2 red teams. Get your red solo cups ready.
But I'm excited, man. Giovanni, thanks so much for joining the show.
Oh, of course. I love coming back on Jake's Takes.
Dude, it's awesome.